We live in a world today where people do not want to embrace the truth, the reality of life, the reality of situations, and relationships are breaking down more and more and more because there's not people in the relationships that actually care about telling the truth, about being honest. Have you been in a relationship where the person that you're with, he's been always lying to you? Maybe you just found out about 20 years of him lying about texting other women or interacting with other people a certain way or just cheating on you in general or just lying about anything and everything. And you start to notice over a period of time that this has become habitual, not just in your relationship, but in society. That this has become something that has been a problem of people as a whole being able to embrace and be honest about what it's actually real, the truth. I was always a liar. Lied about almost everything. Because I wanted to avoid looking bad. I wanted to avoid looking like I was a bad person. I wanted to avoid having accountability and responsibility in certain areas of my life that would reveal things inside of me that I wasn't happy about or that I didn't like. As a result, early on in childhood, I started to realize how to lie and how to lie effectively. But what I did is I showed people that I was a bad liar so that they would understand that I wasn't a liar at all. So then when I needed to lie to someone, I could, and I could very effectively. This whole concept of people not being willing to tell the truth was a concept that was in my life and inundated in all different parts. Of lying about what I was doing, to eating, to drinking, to watching, to listening to going places, to interacting with people, every single thing was oftentimes filled on a bed of lies. And growing up, that ended up being something that had to suit my needs the way I wanted it to. It had to be something that, like, if I'm lying in this regard, I'm doing this for this reason to be able to get what I want, but keep an image of how I want to be perceived by other people. That way I could look better to friends and family. I could look better in the church and the religious organization so I could be the person that other people wanted me to be, but still be who I was underneath, but not show people that because I was a liar. Continuing to go through high school, through college, through all different aspects of my career moving forward, that didn't change. If anything, it got more ingrained, it got more prevalent in my life because I was a liar. Someone who would hide the truth to make myself look better. I remember there was one time early on when I was working at Chick-fil-A. I was standing on one side of like where we were making fries, and I was making fries, and there's a person in front of me, and they asked for like a no salt fry or something like that, and I like wasn't thinking and just sprinkled the salt on, and they like saw me do it, and I like moved the fries off and grabbed some fries underneath and put them in to be like, oh, like this is a no salt fry. And they're like, did you just salt those? And I was like, no. Why? Because in that moment, if I would have admitted that I salted the fries, I would look bad. You see, the reason why a narcissist lies over and over and over again is because he doesn't want to look bad. He doesn't want to activate this piece of guilt and this piece of shame. You see, the guilt gets really prevalent, making me feel like, oh, I did something bad. I know that I did something bad. I knew that I did something bad in that moment or in all of life, but I wanted to avoid it. I knew lying was bad. I knew cheating was bad. I knew hurting other people was bad. I knew that in my head, but that wasn't me. And I had to be able to avoid it, compartmentalize it, put it away. And so guilt comes up and it says, hey, I did something bad. Shame comes in and reinforces that by not just saying you did something bad, but I am bad. Now, with shame, that goes directly against who I am. Goes directly against the mask that I'm putting out there. So like the whole goal is like, I have to get away from this piece of shame because this piece of shame is like a light that is shining on my mask, illuminating the holes and the cracks and the things that I'm saying and doing and living because it's not actually real. It's fake. But I would keep lying. I would keep running away from the shame and the guilt of things that I felt of when I actually knew and was called out or shown the things that I doing that was lying. What we run in today is people in general like to lie. Not just lie of like, I'm going to lie to you, but like the lie to themselves. And we see this as a rise in society. We see this as a rise inside of men that I talk to and that I work with, that they become liars more often than not because they're unwilling to acknowledge the truth of their situation, the facts of what's going on. They'd rather sedate with drugs or alcohol or things that are going to distract them from the moment than actually be honest about what's going on. Thinking that if I'm honest, then people won't love me. Or if I'm honest, then this won't work out. If I'm honest, then people are going to leave me because of who I am, instead of actually working on who I am. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to work on who I was because who I was not healthy, was not a good person. But I had to tell myself in my mind that I was a good person. So as a result, I lied. I lied to others. I lied to God. I lied to my wife, lied to my therapist, lied to myself, lied to everybody because I had to be right. If you had your narcissist that's like, I have to be right, maybe they didn't say those words, but they always have to win at the argument. They always have to win at the conversation. They always have to win because they're more concerned about their truth than they are about the facts. This is where people miss it in understanding truth versus facts because you have truth. He has truth, I have truth, everyone has truth, but that truth can always be relative based on your experiences, based on your perceptions, based on your worldview that you're actually looking at on a day-to-day basis. This is why a lot of the things that I do now aren't based on my truth, they're based on facts. What has been demonstrated? What is the evidence? What has been shown? What has been exemplified? How do I actually know this based on facts of the situation, not based on truth? The facts lead to a sense of truth, but the facts also help expose the things that are happening that I do not like. Just a week or so ago, we went on a weekend away, my wife and I. And on that weekend away, there was a moment where I woke up late and I didn't do the stacking that I do every single day. That ended up causing tension throughout the day, because I knew I didn't do the thing that I said I was going to do. And then invoked a sense of guilt, a sense of shame. And like, oh, I need to do this, but I haven't done it yet. And it produced this tension between the two of us. So then got to the place mid-afternoon. I was like, hey, we need to pause and I need to be able to go stack. Went and did a stack. After that, I was grounded. I was back to where I needed to be. Had a great rest of the evening. But I had to get really honest with myself of why is this happening? A year ago, that probably would never even happened. Even with stacking, like my mindset wasn't at the place where I did identify, hey, this is why this is happening. But getting more and more into the facts, into the truth of the situation, understanding, hey, this is what's actually going on. This is what I need to do to change it. This is how I feel about it. This is what I need to do to change it. This has been my focus for this period of time. This is what I need to do to change it. So that I'm actually living differently. I'm actually showing up differently. But that can only happen when a person is willing to embrace the facts of the situation. For me, I never wanted to embrace the facts. I never wanted to look at the facts. The facts were too hard because the facts were vulnerable and exposing of the shit that was inside. This is the process that if you're with a man today that is being abusive, that is being narcissistic, there is not hope for this to continue to improve if he is not willing to embrace the facts. The truth of the situation by looking at what is the evidence that has been demonstrated, what are the facts of the situation, what has been shown consistently. And if he's not willing to look at that and start to go through a process of changing that, his focus that has produced those results, it's going to stay the same. You might have heard from a lot of my videos, a lot of times I'll say, if you're not in a relationship with someone who's honest, vulnerable, and showing consistent change, you're not in a relationship. It's a facade. It's something that is just there. And so I have a lot of times people that reach out and they're like, hey, how do I work on this? Like people that have narcissistic tendencies are like, how do I work on this? And I start to walk them through a process where we bring them in one of the communities that we've started to develop for guys that are specifically struggling with narcissism. And we're like, hey, let's sit down, let's talk. and to start to show them a path that if they want to start being a man and start being honest, they have to be able to eradicate the lies. Like, there's no foundation that we can build if it's not built on truth, based on the facts. Like, if we try to build a foundation of like, hey, let's work on your marriage, but they're not willing to have the facts about their life exposed, there's nothing we can do. That's it. The cold hard truth that you need to understand, if he's unwilling to embrace the facts of his life and be willing to walk through this framework to change his life, then nothing is going to change. He'll just keep lying to himself, keep lying to you, keep gaslighting you and himself to justify the things that he's doing. This aspect of men are no longer willing to live in truth because men are liars is 100% true. That's how I've shown up. That's how I've been, because it was easier to lie and sedate and run than it was to be exposed and vulnerable for all the stuff that I'd done. That's why in this journey of being on social media and communicating stuff about narcissism means I start to bring stuff to the table that's never been brought to before, because I'm tired of all of the lies. And until he gets to the place where he is tired of the lies that will continue him going through the same cycle over and over and over again, the cycle will always continue and it will always repeat. So where does this bring us today? It brings us to a place of saying, if you're holding on to hope for this person to change, but they're unwilling to see the truth by looking at the facts of the situation, you need to walk away. If you're listening to this and you're like, I've been that guy, I've been the liar, then I want you to reach out for help. Go to rawmotivations.com, click on the one-on-ones, we can talk. To see if you'd be a good fit, or to see if you actually are willing to put in the work. You see, I have a decent amount of people that reach out, but not a ton that actually work with me, because some of them are not willing to actually do the work required. This journey of breaking the lies, rewiring your mindset, breaking free of the toxicity that keeps you over and over and over is not an easy journey, and the majority of people run away from it. A lot of times people run away from the truth, run away from the facts, run away from the stories, the lies they're telling themselves because of the pain that's there. But as a result, it keeps you in the pain. Keeps you in the cycle. If I can help any of you today, please reach out. Go to rawmotivations.com. We'd love to talk to you today.